you are, especially as a goalkeeper, you are commanding it. You are time wasting. You are telling your players, next 10 minutes, kill the game. Kill the game for the next 10 minutes. Just long balls into the channels, waste time, draw fouls, fake injuries for the next 10 minutes, kill the game. Take all the sting out of the game, and then from the 25th minute, 30th minute onwards, then we can rebound. Once all the emotion is taken out of the game, we can get ourselves into the game. That is what a leader would do. That is what a leader would identify and would try and implement. Especially when you don't have a proper coach on the sidelines, your captain needs to stand up, and he fucking cowered away. He cowered away. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 2 Foot Attack podcast. I'm your host, Ari Stamatakos. We're back again for another week. Don't know what week it is. 33, I want to say it's 33, and realistically I should know that. But anyway, I digress. I hope everyone's well. I hope everyone has enjoyed their week. I hope everyone's sporting teams won. My Chelsea didn't play, which was great. I mean, they played midweek, but apart from that, we didn't play on the weekend. And that was awesome because normally football's meant to be an escape, right? It's meant to be an escape from like your week and like all the shit that's going on, etc., etc. But this just felt like I needed an escape from my escape and just live life and like just enjoy my weekend. So I was able to do that, which is great without being annoyed or disappointed from a football perspective. From an AFL perspective, that obviously continued, but no, that's not the point of this podcast, so we'll move on. But yeah, it's been a pretty enjoyable week so far for me. It's my birthday on Thursday, so the 28th, or Friday even, 28th, so that's going to be good. Hopefully this weekend will be fine, and I'll be in a relatively good shape to record on Monday. But yeah, it is obviously Monday the 24th of April. Big kind of weekends of football. We had a lot going on. A lot happened last night. A lot happened throughout the week, which we'll speak about. And and then some A-League stuff as well happened over the weekend, which we'll touch on furthermore. All right, before we kick things off, let's what am I doing? Plugging it, of course. That's what I have to do. I'm obliged, I feel like. Make sure you subscribe to the 2 Foot Attack podcast. 6 subscribers away now from 400. That would be great. That'd be awesome. And then TikTok, Instagram, 2 Foot Attack podcast, 2FTPod, the number 2FTPod on Twitter, and then of course subscribe, like, notification bell, comment, share, do all that good stuff. And then audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Anchor. There's a Linktree link in the bio of the Twitter and Instagram. So there you go. If you want all your 2 Foot Attack podcast needs, that's where you can go. All right, let's start things, and let's kick things off. Where do we start? Let's start how we're probably going to start the rest of these episodes until the end of the season. That is with the league title chat and Arsenal. Now, I imagined, I should probably say, me sitting here on a Monday throughout the week, and I was like, where's the angle going to be? What angle am I going to come at this? What angle am I going to come at this title race from? Because it was a Saturday morning, so Friday night, Saturday morning game for Australia time, Arsenal versus Southampton, and I almost wasn't even not concerned, but I was like, yeah, Arsenal will win, right? It's too far away not to be in the spotlight for Arsenal to lose, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't an early kickoff, it wasn't a big game, it wasn't a rivalry game. It was just tucked away on a Friday night in UK time, tucked away on a Friday night at home against bottom of the table. They'll win that comfortably. I wasn't even worried, and I woke up and I thought of the game straight away. And I was like, should I watch the highlights without looking at the score? And I was like, no, surely. No, they'll be right. They can't not win it, right? And then obviously I check my phone, and I just see 3-3, and it's almost like it didn't happen. Like, I just can't think. Like, I remember that in that moment I was like, it can't. There's no way they've drawn 3-3, because it's almost a ridiculous score. Like if they had drawn 0-0 or 1-1. That would have been, fair enough, right? Well, not fair enough, but that would have been more at least justifiable or explainable. 3-3 was like, what the hell? And then I obviously looked back at the matter of the game and watched the highlights and the mini match and stuff, and I thought, well, it's happening again, or dare I say, and I don't want to say it, I really don't, because I feel like it's unfair, but I think it's happened again. I think it's happened again where they've bottled it again. And I said last week I literally said why Arsenal haven't bottled the league, right? I literally said that. But like now the fate's no longer in their hands. If they had just beaten Southampton, it would still be in their hands. They would be 7 points clear. City would have 2 games to go, 2 games in hand. The fate would be in their hands still, and yet now it's still not. Like, it's not in their hands anymore. And I think you have to say, I think that's the definition of bottling the league after being in that position. But also what I said last week is I don't think they've been favourites for it to actually consider them being have them bottle the league, right? So it's like, how is it come to this kind of thing? I speak about moments quite a lot, and I speak about I speak about moments. I spoke about the Nketiah goal and the Nelson goal and the Saka potential goal against Liverpool, and bring up this photo. For audio listeners, it's a screenshot of the Trossard shot. Now, if this Leandro Trossard shot goes in, I wouldn't say it's like, because obviously there's still 6 minutes to go at that time. That goes in, there's still 6 minutes to go. So there's time. And knowing Arsenal, it wouldn't be the most comfortable 6 minutes in the world. But it would be one of, like, it would have won them the league. And I say this both of the perspective of that would put them 7 points ahead, but it goes back to what I said last week. About how the resilience factor of this Arsenal team will win them the league. Well, at least I thought that, right? And to a point, they showed resilience again against Southampton. They were 2-0 down, then they went 3-1 down, and they still came back. And they probably could have won it, right? So you look at that resilience from that perspective and you think, yeah, that they showed resilience, right? You can't deny that. And that's obviously something that'll take them a long way. Take them a long, long way, especially for the future. But once again, it just wasn't enough. Like, it just was not enough. It seems like it wasn't enough. And it's the further we've gotten into the season, the moments are starting to slip away now. It's slipping away. It is, they're just slipping away. It's slipping away, and they can feel it. The Arsenal fans can feel it. And the meltdowns have happened already. Just go on Arsenal Fan TV. The meltdowns have happened already. The panic is setting in. The kind of almost conceding defeat has sunk in again, and it's now, of course it was going to happen, of course, which is quite funny because I spoke about this again last week and quite a while ago. Asked this question 2 months ago. Arsenal fans would be like, yeah, we've turned the corner, we're going to win the league, right? We're mature, we've done XYZ, we've done XYZ enough, if that makes sense, to kind of turn the table and overcome that hurdle of being a bottle job, in a sense, and actually become a proper team that will win the league. So you can say that they've done that, which is probably accurate if we're being honest, right? But the results aren't matching up. And the position and the permutations aren't matching up to that kind of statement either. And you can feel that despite that statement still probably being correct, now the fans are turning on it. Now the fans are maybe not contradicting themselves, but at least changing their opinion. And they're now going to, of course it's going to happen. We're still young. We're naive. This has happened again. Of course it was happening again, etc., etc. Which is obviously quite fascinating to look at, quite fascinating to watch, especially considering the up and down nature in which this season for them, in terms of their expectations, have gone through. And we touched on it a little bit last week as well, with the resilience that they showed. Obviously, had a great start. They went through that period where they lost to Everton, City, and drew to Brentford. That obviously, if you would ask fans after that Brentford game, and even when they were 2-1 down to Villa, the next game, you would look at that and you would go to many fans and that's it. Like, yeah, we had our run. We're too young, too inexperienced, not enough depth. Young manager, we had our run. We'll fall off. City will overtake it and run away with it. That's what a lot of fans thought. But then, once again, that resilience. Beat Villa, go on a really good win streak, or an unfair streak at least, which has lasted till this day, right? So, it's quite interesting how they've gone from this extreme high of at the start of the season to naturally it mellows out once a season starts to progress, and then it mellows out more when they become shit in that 3-game run, and then all of a sudden they're back up to where they were at the start of the season, and potentially even higher considering that there's not many games to go. But they're in a position now where if City win both their games in hand, bang, they're in front, and that doesn't include Arsenal going to the Etihad. Now, obviously it comes down to that game. Arsenal, on the presumption that City win both their games in hand, I don't know when exactly those 2 games in hand are actually slated to be played. I don't know where those 2 games are slated to be played. They've got a midweek game against West Ham, and then a midweek game against Brighton. So I'm assuming they're the 2 games that will be played, the games in hand, right? And obviously it's Arsenal versus City on Thursday, the 27th of April. If we've gone through this 3-week period of Arsenal being at the top, drawing to Liverpool, not great, drawing to West Ham, not great, and then drawing to Southampton, catastrophe. But it can all be kind of forgiven, and it can all be overwritten if they beat Man City. If they go to the Etihad and win, that's the league. They won the league, because they will not. I can categorically say right now, whoever wins that game wins the league. Because if Arsenal win that game, it goes back up to it goes to 8 points. So if City win both their games in hand, it cuts down to 2 points. Arsenal in front. Arsenal will not drop points for the rest of the season. No chance. Arsenal will not drop points for the rest of the season. Granted, their run home, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, tough. Really tough. And I know City versus Chelsea as well, but the City game for Arsenal is tougher than the City game for Man City. I think I said that last week as well. Newcastle will be tough. Obviously, they had a great win, which we'll touch on a little bit later on. And then obviously Brighton's tough, and then they finish with Forest and the Wolves. That game is going to be that game is as close to a Premier League final as we're ever going to get. I think because obviously we had the Man City Liverpool game last year at the Etihad, which ended 2-2. For some reason, I remember that game being a lot sooner in the season. I don't think that game was played with only 6 games to go. I may be mistaken, and if anything, I'm actually going to go check that now. I'm actually going to go check that when that game was now. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of so that game. Okay, funny enough, that game was at the 11th of April. That 2-2 against City. They played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 more Premier League games. So this one will take place with Arsenal playing 6 more, City playing 8 more, including that game. So it's about the same, actually. It's about the same. Probably this game's a little bit sooner or a little bit later on in the season, so there's less games to play. So it probably makes it more of a final feel. But yeah, it's similar, actually. I thought that game was in like March or Feb, but there you go. So yeah, that game's going to be great, and I think it's great. I think it's like pretty poignant now to preview it in a sense. I don't want to treat it like a cup final type thing. Obviously, we now know what the FA Cup final will be. Just on a side note, I don't want to preview it like a cup final because it's as much as I say it's whoever wins the league. As much as I say that, it's not like cut and draw. It's not set in stone. It's never set in stone, right? It's never set in stone. So City could win and then drop points for the rest of the season. It probably won't happen, but it could happen. Arsenal could win and then lose to Chelsea the next game. Could happen. Not saying it will, could. And that's why I'm treading caution with this game, and that's why I think a lot of fans should tread caution with this game. And it's also why I think this game is going to be poignant for a similar reason to what I've mentioned, but almost kind of the other way, if that makes sense. I'll explain it. It should make sense. Because a lot of fans will treat this game as like the Premier League final. Whoever wins this game wins the league. That's obviously not set in stone. Arsenal could win this game against Man City, then lose to Chelsea the next week, and then all of a sudden City win their 2 games in hand, and then bang, they win their 2 games in hand, and then because actually that'd be 8 points. So yeah, City win their 2 games in hand, and then Arsenal drop points one more time. That's all would have to happen. And then all of a sudden City are back in front, and Arsenal do play Newcastle and Brighton, right? So I don't want to preview it from that perspective, but the reason why I think Arsenal win the league if they win this game is because Mikel Arteta is smart enough and he's intelligent enough, and those players now will have that drilled into them that, yeah, we win this game, but we still got 5 games to go. Still got 5 games to go against 3 pretty good opposition. I know Chelsea aren't great, but it's a London derby, and if there's any team that will want to upset Arsenal's title charge, Tottenham's 1, Chelsea's 2nd. So there's that fact. Obviously, Brighton, they versed Newcastle away from home, which obviously they have scars from last year. That was a game that cost them top 4. They went over there and lost 2-0. I think that's away from home anyway. And then they come back and verse and then they come back and verse Brighton. Brighton, obviously a tough game as well. No denying that. So it's tricky. It's really tricky. It's really tough. And what happens in that game? It's very interesting. Winner probably wins the league, but not because it's like winner wins the league because both managers will understand that whoever wins this game doesn't win the league, if that makes sense. So like both managers will understand that, yeah, we won this game, but we still got 5 games to go. We still got 7 games to go. But we also know that, but like the fans will be looking at it from the perspective of, if they win the game, we won't drop points. We're too good to drop points, etc., etc. So I think fans and managers and players will think of this game as whoever wins this wins the league, but for different reasons, and for quite actually contrasting reasons, which is just another fascinating storyline and just another fascinating thing about this game, but also football in general, right? As my camera kept going in and out of focus, I need to try to fix that actually. I need to try to fix that autofocus because I've got it set to focus on like a square that's like here, or like here even. So like it just focuses on like the top of my head or like from my mouth up, but it just keeps going out of focus anyway. But yeah, if I give a prediction, obviously I'll give a prediction at the end of the show, but I'll give a prediction at the end of the podcast. But what I can tell you for fact is something will happen. Something will happen. Whether that's a red card, a penalty, VAR call, a goal, a save, a tackle, whatever. Something will happen. And it goes back to what I said previously. The Nketiah moment, the Nelson moment, almost a Saka moment, almost a Trossard moment. What's next? What is it now? Is it another almost moment, or are they going to find that extra edge and go over the line once again? I don't know. It's fascinating, very fascinating, and I guess we just have to wait and see. I think that's apt, an apt ending. I think that's an apt ending. Yeah, something will happen. Something big will happen. I think that's an apt ending. Let's move on, and let's move on and let's contrast. Let's move to another side of London, shall we? Let's move to another side of London, shall we? Oh, how long have you got? Oh, this is going to be so good. So, I sat down at my desk on a Sunday night, just chilling, relaxing, getting ready for the week ahead, and was like, yeah, the soccer's on, chuck on Goal Rush, Spurs going away to Newcastle, great game, both sides challenging for top 4, this is great, chuck a cheeky pun on, would be great, right? Gamble responsibly, of course. And I was like, this is going to be a good game. This is going to be a good game. And then I was like, yeah, I'm excited. I thought Spurs were going to get something out of the game, to be honest. I really did. They moved to a back four for the first time in forever. Obviously, Sarr started in midfield. They went with Perisic at left back, which was bold. Yeah, bold. Perisic playing left back, bold. Pedro Porro playing a right back rather than a right wing back, which is obviously something that I assume he would be accustomed to. I don't know, but you'd like to think he would be. And then obviously playing Eric Dyer as a centre half in a back four is once again bold. So it was a very bold, very, very bold kind of formation. Very attacking, very front-footed, and not really suited to defending the high-tempo, direct nature of Newcastle, which is a little bit of an issue when Newcastle go 2-0 up inside 3 minutes. From goals from Jacob Murphy, of all people, Jacob Murphy. I think Joelinton scored the second. Joelinton scored the second to make it 2-0 inside 6 minutes, and then Jacob Murphy with one of the best goals you'll ever see in the 9th minute to make it 3-0. 3-0 within 10 minutes. It's just staggering. Like, absolutely just what the fuck, right? I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just like, how is this happening? I can't even find words for it now, despite how absolutely fucking hilarious it is. I can't find words for it now. But, yeah, how funny. How funny is that, honestly? 3-0 inside 10 minutes. Alexander Isak scores not long after, and then literally off the kickoff, as my camera's completely gone out of focus, literally off kickoff, Isak scores again. 5-0, 21 minutes, the second quickest 5-0 lead ever in the Premier League, only behind Man City versus Watford. So that's the level. And then all of a sudden they've got, oh shit, we actually need to go back to the back five, and they bring on Davison Sanchez for Sarr, for Papi Sarr. Papa Sarr. He had 16 accurate passes. No, 16 passes, 15 accurate, and had 1 tackle for the game. So good hit out for you, my friend. Yeah, then obviously halftime comes and goes. Halftime comes, and obviously the first half comes and goes. Halftime comes and goes, and then Hugo Lloris, French captain. I think he's the French captain anyway. Spurs captain for sure, right? Is being subbed off at halftime at St James's Park against Newcastle after conceding 5 goals in 20 minutes, being subbed off for Fraser Forster. I genuinely thought the guy died. His last game was the 19th of March against Southampton, and then he played because Lloris was injured. He started a total of, I can't do maths. That's 15. He's played a total of 34 games in 3 years. No, actually, he's played 35 games in 5 years. 35 games in 5 years, and he's kept a total of 7 clean sheets. So, behold your legacy, Hugo. Behold your legacy. He sucks. I'm going to touch on him shortly, but he sucks. Kane scores, great. Couldn't have been Son, but because I had Son in my multi, and Son can't score, can he? And then Wilson scored, and then the game finished. Spurs. They're funny. They're funny, aren't they? And by funny, I mean, and I don't want to go with them too hard, right? I don't, right? Because my club isn't exactly that much better, but they suck. Like, they suck. They are awful, right? Awful. They aren't good. in the slightest, right? Like, they are the definition of a mid-table team. There's I actually struggle to believe it because the kind of level of the players for the most part is good-ish, right? It's fine. You have Kane up top, one of the best strikers in Premier League history, right? You have Son, Golden Boot winner, right? Kulusevski was very good last season. You have Højbjerg, who's I think was very good at times. Perisic at left wing back is good, right? Romero I think is alright. Skip is good-ish, kind of, right? And yet they just suck. Like, there is a systematic and deep-rooted issue at that football club, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's been happening forever. Like, I think there is a deep-rooted issue in that football club, and it goes beyond any level of personnel. It goes to any level of tactics or facilities or whoever, whatever, ideology, whatever. I genuinely think the kind of name Tottenham Hotspur and the club and the identity of Tottenham Hotspur is not an identity of winning. And I'm not saying that like, oh, they were once a good team, you can't win anymore. That's not right. Like United, right? United's identity is still winning, right? It's still winning. Despite them not having won a lot in recent times, their identity is still winning. That is, when you think of Manchester United, you think of winning. In the same vein that if you think of many other sporting clubs in the world that have been successful previously but haven't been successful recently, that the ideology and the kind of story behind that club is still winning, right? This hasn't existed for Tottenham in a long time. Has not existed for Tottenham in a long, long time, right? And I don't understand why they are so obsessed with doing the same thing over and over and over again. They need to be they need to be a, I don't even know what they need to do, right? They need to do. I don't even know what they need to do, but they need to make bold. I don't want to use this term, right? But the term rebuild, right? And for football fans, that probably doesn't have the same connotations what it has to people who are a fan of like basketball or NFL or AFL, like sports with drafts and no relegation, etc. Right? But what that basically means is bottoming out, getting rid of everyone and starting fresh. This Tottenham side currently has a very similar core to, not similar core, but the core is relatively same-ish to what was Poch's, right? Ish. Lloris still in goal, Dyer still prevalent, Kane still prevalent, Son still prevalent, etc. Right? So you just need to get rid of them all. Get rid of them all if you're going to stand any chance. If you're going to stand any chance, get rid of them all, because you're not making top four. I'd be shocked if you're not if they make top four, right? I'd be shocked if they make top four. Where are they now? What's the table? They sit fifth. United have 2 games in hand and they're 6 points ahead. They're not making top four. No chance. Even if Liverpool win their game in hand over Tottenham, they will jump them and go into fifth. So they're not making top four. That's the one thing Daniel Levy wants, is to make top four. He doesn't want to win the league. He wants to make top four. As soon as they don't make top four, Son needs to go, Kane needs to go, Lloris needs to go. They need to get rid of every remnants of anything old, of anything past. They need to get rid of. Even players like Højbjerg, they need to literally gut out that squad and keep like if I was the coach, if I was in charge of Spurs, right? If I could wave a magic wand, these are the players that I would get rid of I'll get out of the players that are in the starting kind of squad, because like Alfie Whiteman, I don't know who that is, but I'd get rid of Lloris, get rid of Forster, I'd get rid of Perisic, Davies gone, Dyer gone, Longley gone, Sanchez gone. I'd keep Sessegnon, I'd keep Romero, I'd keep Royale, I'd get rid of Tanganga, I'd get rid of Son, Mora, Højbjerg, keep Bentancur, keep Basuma, keep Skip, keep Kulusevski, keep Porro, and get rid of Papasar. I don't think he's good enough, but you could probably keep him. And then up front, I'd get rid of Kane, get rid of Richarlison, and get rid of Danjuma. Gut out that squad. Gut out that squad. It is not good enough. It is stained. And you need... I think Spurs need to go. Spurs need to adopt a Chelsea kind of mould. And the reason I say this, and bear with me. Firstly, like, this would obviously help if Daniel Levy left and Tottenham got bought out, but that obviously isn't going to happen. But we also know that Daniel Levy has the spending power. Tottenham are a very, very affluent club, He has the spending power. He just doesn't want to put his hands in his pockets. But if they are ever going to succeed, they need to become as far away from Spurs as possible. That's what they need to be. They need to become everything that Spurs isn't. So fuck off your homegrown players. Fuck off your Harry Kanes. Get rid of this whole, Spurs play attractive football, whatever, like that whole cliche that was prevalent in like the 80s and 90s and stuff. Get rid of everything resembling Spurs' identity and just basically buy your way to the top. Because the club has no winning culture. There is no winning culture. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, if you keep trying to cling on to that kind of history and to that identity that you had in like the 80s and 90s and like early 2000s even, you're not going to win. You're never going to win. You might, like, what was it? Last time you won a trophy, right? Jonathan Woodgate, League Cup against Chelsea. Before then, I don't even know. How long has it been since Spurs won a trophy? I can't be bothered to look that up, but it is a... I don't know how hard to go, right? But it's an embarrassing kind of... That game was a microcosm of Spurs as a football club, in my opinion. Because realistically, Spurs should be so far ahead of Newcastle, it's not funny. Bigger stadium, especially in the last 20 years, better players, more European competition, better stadium, more money, once again, for the most part, obviously the last year and a half obviously has changed, but more money, better players, better everything, better facilities, better everything, better brand identity, if you would call it that, better reputation, that's probably a better word to use. But they got swept aside 6-1 in embarrassing fashion. It was so, it was so... But what it was it was so predictable. If I told you Spurs are going to go 5-0 down inside 20 minutes, I could literally map out all of those goals. First goal, not tracking down a man, not pressing high into the man, not closing down the space. Shot, shit goalkeeping, tapped in on the rebound. Right? Second goal, one long ball across, defence isn't switched on, Jolins picks it up, poor goalkeeping again from Lloris, 2-0. Third goal, a screamer from out of nowhere, because that's what happens to Spurs. Spurs turn shit players into good. Jacob Murphy scored the goal of his life against Spurs. Of course it was going to happen. It's Spurs, right? Fourth goal. I can't even remember the fourth goal. I know Isaac scored it, but even the fifth goal, just a quick 1-2 into the box, no closing down, shit goalkeeping again for the fifth goal, no surprise. And even the sixth goal, just, rebound, Wilson taps it in, no awareness, no urgency to clear the ball, just lackadaisical, lazy shit. Just lazy. And not even surprised, even though the result was surprising, and as it was going in, I was surprised, but looking back at it now, I was like, as if I was surprised. I was going to speak on Hugo Lloris. It's quite ironic that I'm going to speak on Hugo Lloris whilst wearing a French kind of top, with wrong pointing, with a French icon behind me, who's actually the number on my back. But anyway, Hugo Lloris, right? Okay, I want to speak about him because he obviously got subbed off, so naturally he's going to be the point of discussion, right? I don't know if he's French captain. I think he probably is the French captain, right? But I've never seen I've never seen, and this kind of once again goes back to Spurs. Goes back to Spurs. When has Hugo Lloris been the best keeper in the league? When has Hugo Lloris been the best goalkeeper in the league? Because even Edison at one point was the best keeper in the league. Alisson probably right now and definitely in the past has been the best goalkeeper in the league. David De Gea for a period of time, both mid 2015, 2016, and also maybe quite recently you could argue, has been, at least for a period of time, the best goalkeeper in the league. Even fucking Edouard Mendy has been the best goalkeeper in the league at one stage, right? Ramsdale has been the best goalkeeper in the league at one stage. When has Hugo Lloris ever been the best goalkeeper in the league? Let alone world. Forget about world for a second. League. There has always been 2 or 3 goalkeepers ahead of him. And once again, if he's your captain, he can't lead. He can't lead, I'm sorry, he can't lead. A leader does not do that. Like, a leader does not allow that to happen. A leader does not... You can get beat 5-6-0, right? That happens because it's football, right? It's football. That happens, and I get that, right? Chelsea have been like Chelsea with that spine, got beaten 5-0 at times, got smashed. Even good sides get smashed. I get that. It happens. But they don't get humiliated. Absolutely humiliated in the way that they got last night. And not only was it the scoreline, the quickness of the goals should not be happening. As soon as that first one goes in, you're on them straight away. Boys, switch on. As soon as that second one goes in, you are, especially as a goalkeeper, you are commanding it. You are time wasting. You are telling your players, next 10 minutes, kill the game. Kill the game for the next 10 minutes. Just long balls into the channels, waste time, draw fouls, fake injuries for the next 10 minutes, kill the game. Take all the sting out of the game, and then from the 25th minute, 30th minute onwards, then we can rebound. Once all the emotion is taken out of the game, we can get ourselves into the game. That is what a leader would do. That is what a leader would identify and would try and implement. Especially when you don't have a proper coach on the sidelines, your captain needs to stand up, and he fucking cowered away. He cowered away, as he has done countless times. And once again, it goes back to the identity of the club. If that is your captain cowering away when he's meant to be the most dominant presence, when he's cowering away after you've just conceded your second, allowing 3 more to go in 5 seconds, it says a lot, doesn't it? It says a lot. They need a systematic change in identity, in culture, and in their operations. It is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Granted, I say this, but I fucking enjoyed every second of it. So if they want to change it, I wouldn't advise them to. I think it's great. I think it's good entertainment for the league. So, anyways, I think I got a bit carried away there. No, but fuck Tottenham, honestly. And I try to remain impartial. I do, right? I do try to remain impartial because I think it's a good skill to have. And this also comes out of anger as well, because it's like, you do this to your poor fans. I mean, they deserve it because they support Spurs, but your poor fans, they're like... Yeah, anyways. There you go. That's quite a loud pop. As I drink the water out of the Powerade Zero Sugar. It's a different bottle from last week. Last week or the week before, just so if anyone's wondering. Yeah, it's a good water bottle to have. Anyways, I digress. Let's move on before I yell at Spurs and abuse Spurs even more. Let's move on to Wrexham, shall we? Because that was mental. And I was going to speak about them last week. I was going to speak about them last week because I obviously what happened with Ben Foster. I probably just got distracted there. But I was going to do this last week, obviously after what happened with obviously with what happened with Foster and the penalty save, etc. But I was like, no, I want to wait till they officially have won it, right? And then I'll speak about them from probably more a high level perspective, maybe. What's going on is insane, right? I want to speak. So obviously the Ben Foster save, the penalty save, and that game against Notts County was unreal, right? I didn't watch it. I probably should have, right? Because it would have been an insane game to try and figure out a way to watch. I definitely was a bit showing probably anywhere, but um, in Australia anyway. But yeah, we all know what's going on with obviously Ryan Reynolds and the other guy, owning Wrexham, etc. So it's a quite an interesting kind of dynamic about what's happening because you need we all love it, right? We all appreciate what's going on with them, right? And I think that's undisputed, right? We all appreciate what's going on with them, and we all kind of acknowledge it, and we all like it for the most part because I think they're very self aware. Like they're very self aware. They're not trying to portray themselves as we're an underdog club, like we're coming from nowhere, we've got no facilities, no money, no nothing, etc. They know what they are, right? They've got TikTok as one of their sponsors, I'm pretty sure. They're paying one of their like Joe Mullen, is that his name? He's like a League One level striker, right? He's being paid so much more money than anyone else in the league. For God's sake, they got a recently retired Premier League goalkeeper to play in goal for them, right? They know exactly what they're doing, but I think it's good. I wouldn't say it's a good story because it's like yeah, whatever, but like it's like yeah, big like very rich man takes over small football club as well, right? But I like how it's being marketed. I like how it's being. It brings more eyes to the sport. It brings more eyes to Wrexham. They're going to get a whole bunch of new fans off the back of this, which is only good for them, and it's good for the town, right? It's good for obviously football mad town, football mad kind of area, and them getting some form of like injection in them getting some form of injection of kind of the ability to enjoy their football club even more, that extra bit of like oomph to enjoy their football club a bit more. It also gives them hope that their football club will actually be good. Their football club will actually be good for in the near future, right? Because a lot of clubs at that level don't have any hope. So obviously this is going to give them a lot of hope, and it's going to give them a lot of optimism. It's going to make going to games a lot more fun for them. It's going to make watching the team a lot more fun. It's going to make their whole club's identity a lot more fun to be involved in. So yeah, I love it. I love it. I really do. I think it's great, and the self-awareness about it is what makes it even better. Like they know exactly what they are. They know exactly what they're doing in terms of how everyone's portraying them, and they're just earnest, honest fans, and they're proper people who want to help a football club, which you wouldn't expect from two people who are such highly regarded and who are so famous, who are from a completely different country, a completely different area. You wouldn't expect that, but the fact that they is showing that is quite interesting, and it's obviously quite good for the sport, and it adds an extra layer of niceness about this. It adds an extra layer of niceness about this about what's happening. So it's good. I enjoy it a lot, and obviously they got crowned champions. Obviously, I think they got a documentary going on with Disney. Maybe I want to say. Obviously, Foster in goal. That vlog was so good. Just on a side note, there was no vlog footage of the second half. He probably sold it for the doco. I'm pretty sure. Because I was like, either two things have happened. He's either sold it for the doco, or he forgot to bring the GoPro out for the second half. And I would be shocked if it's I genuinely wouldn't be surprised. Sorry, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if it's the latter. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if he was just like, he just forgot to bring it out. I don't know if he said anything about it, but yeah, it was quite good to watch. It was a good vlog to watch, and yeah, they won the league in such a stupid kind of conference, in such a stupid way of doing it as well, considering that in terms of like only one team can go up. I think it's playoffs. Notts County should win the rest of the playoffs, right? You'd think. But once again, you never know, right? You never truly know. I'm going to bring it up quickly. Here we go. National League. So there's only one automatic spot. And then second to seventh play in playoffs, which is just fucking insanely just absurd, right? Wrexham scored 115 goals and conceded 42, 73 goal difference. Macaulay Langstaff, 41 goals for Notts County, no penalties. Paul Mullen, 38 goals, 9 penalties. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. These blokes are scoring like left, right, and centre. Oh, that's absurd. Anyway. Yeah. 151. Yeah, that's actually insane. 41 goals and 42 goals conceded for both sides. 115 and 116 scored. They're so evenly matched. And also, credit to Notts County, right? Obviously, I think they've been a Football League side for quite a while. I'm pretty sure, anyway. So credit to them for matching it with Wrexham, who have obviously all this with which is what's going on around them. I don't know their story exactly, but hopefully they go up. They should go up, but it's playoffs. It's one-off games. You never know. You never know, right? All right. Okay, let's move on. Let's finish things up with some A-League chat. And two things I kind of wanted to speak about on my... So, there's two things I wanted to speak about in terms of the A-League. Firstly, no, three things actually. Let's start with Jamie McLaren. Hopper. Sorry, I nearly broke my phone. But yeah, let's start with Jamie McLaren. Let's start with the J-Mac talking point. Of course, he surpassed, I think it was Besar Berisha's goal scoring record for the A-League over the weekend with 116 goals. I think I can't quite remember, unfortunately. Probably should know that. But yeah, he passed the goal scoring record, and he's now the top goal scorer in Premier League or in A-League history of all time. My apologies. So obviously the question goes: is he the best striker in A-League history? This is a great talking point, because if you compare it to other leagues, and if you compare it like to, let's just say, the Premier League, people would say Shearer is the best of all time just because he has the goal scoring record to back it up, right? But then people also say, but Henry was better because he was more flashy and he was just an all-round better player. Some people say Rooney because he could do more things. Some people say Aguero because of how ruthless he was. Some people say Kane because of his playmaking ability coupled with that. There's a lot of different arguments. So there is quite a few contenders, I think, for this title. McLaren obviously up there. Bessart obviously up there. Even Fornaroli, I'd say, is up there. Someone like, I know Archie Thompson, maybe. He obviously had the record before Bessart. Archie Thompson, maybe you could put him up there. Shane Smeltz, maybe you could put him up there. And then even players like Bobo, who probably didn't do it for long enough when he was here, especially in his first stint. He was very, very good. Other players kind of that ilk, like even someone like maybe Andy Keogh kind of fits into that category as well. Mark Yanko maybe fits into that category. Obviously, these players aren't in the consideration for greatest of all time, but I'm just bringing up players who had very good maybe season or two. Obviously, McLaren has floated to Brisbane. Where has he been? Because I know he's been at Brisbane. Obviously, he's been at City for the last couple of years and has really benefited from. Obviously, taking nothing away from him because he's been exceptional, and he's been exceptional for a long time and has really kicked on in the latter years. But he's been a benefactor, I should say, of an unbelievable system. Scored a hat-trick over the weekend to kind of give him that moment. Obviously, was at Perth before Brisbane. That's it. Yeah, was at Perth before Brisbane, and then scored 43 goals. So he scored 11 goals. 11 goals for Perth in 40 games, and 43 for Brisbane in 59, and then 100 for Melbourne City in 123 games. So it's quite a lot, right? Especially considering how not poor, but his goal scoring record wasn't that good at Perth. Brisbane was unreal, and 100 goals in just over 120 games for Melbourne City. This is quite funny because I actually had this conversation about who's the best striker in the league currently not long ago, and it was obviously between Zavada and Cummings and McLaren. If you want a pure goal scorer, if you want a pure and utter goal scorer, there's probably not many better. He's probably the best. If you want big game kind of players, I think Bessart is the guy, right? If you want big game players, Bessart's the guy. If you want some hold-up play, if you want a little bit more than just goal scoring, probably someone like a Shane Smeltz, maybe. Fornaroli also fits into that category where it's like he can do a lot more. He can hold the ball up, he can play as a 10, can move even out wide and play as like an inverted kind of Ramdoy type role, if I'll use a Football Manager term. Someone like a Thompson probably can play out wide, has more pace, a little bit more exciting on the eye, has especially in his prime, had a lot of skills, good dribbling ability. It's a good conversation to have. It is a really good conversation to have, and it's probably. I feel like now we can have a proper. Obviously, the league has only been in existence for not that long, right? So I feel like now this is probably the first time where we could probably properly have a actual discussion about who is the best ever, because we have a good sample size now. We have a good sample size of a couple of players from different eras, different teams, different types of players as well. So you have like I said, you have a few different types of players. He's probably the best, definitely the best Australian striker. Probably that probably rules out Thompson, in that category. But yeah, it's obviously a great talking point. Gun to my head, I feel like I've spoken about this. So I should give my answer. I think if I had to play one game for my life, I've got to pick a number 9. I'm picking Besart Berisha in his prime. So that's probably what, first season of victory, maybe second season of victory to last 2 years at Brisbane to first 2 seasons of victory. Those 4 years, I'd probably take that Berisha. I'd probably take that Besart Berisha for the game, like for a game for my life. But over a season, and if we're talking versatility, and if we're talking other factors other than just goal scoring, Fornaroli would be up there. As much as he's a City, I know he's a victory player now, but he did his best work at City, which hurts. But also McLaren is the best goal scorer, obviously, because he's got the best goal scoring record. It's tough. Okay, I'm just going to say, gun to my head, one game for my life. Besart, over a season, I'll probably take... Can I take both McLaren and Fornaroli and play Fornaroli as a 10? That's what I'll do. I'll play a diamond. Actually, no. I'll play a 4-4-2 and they can play up front together. I feel like that'd work quite well. Or I play a diamond and have Fornaroli at the tip, Besart and McLaren. That'd be good. That'd be a good front three. We'll do that. That's what I'll do. And then Schmaltz a little bit stiff as well. Bobo stiff. Thompson stiff. A lot of other players stiff. And there's definitely players who I haven't thought of who are definitely stiff. But yeah, if I had to pick, that's what I'm going with. So yeah, which is, I'm probably going to be, a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me. I don't blame them because I'm not the oracle by any means. But yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below about who you think is the best striker in A-League history. I think it's a good conversation to have now that we have a good sample size. All right, let's move on. And 2 other talking points I want to speak on about the A-League. Firstly, let's speak about the 4-4 draw. Let's speak about the 4-4 draw. Just mental, right? Mental. Adelaide looked to have the game all but wrapped up against Perth. It was a gloomy Sunday night. No, second game on a Sunday. No one really paying attention. At Perth, back at HBF Park, 6,000 people there. So not the best crowd, not the best spectacle, but Adelaide go 3-1 up. 3-1 up. Was it? No, sorry. They went. Where was it? Yeah, sorry. They went 3-2 up. That's it. They went 3-2 up. 95th minute. Or 30 minute, you're thinking they're gonna roll. They're gonna just run. They're gonna run this game out, I should say, and just kind of go through the motions and win this game 3-2, and then 3-3 equalise in the 93rd minute. You're thinking, oh, they got it. They found the late equaliser. Good drama, etc. And then was it 3 minutes? Not even 30 seconds later. It was 3 minutes later, but I don't think a lot of game time had actually passed. Adam Taggart picks up the ball and just goes bang from 30 yards, on target, bullet into the bottom corner. It's 4-3, and they've turned it around in the most dramatic fashion possible, and you're thinking, there you go, they've done it, they come from the clouds and they've won. And then the star boy says, not today, Irukunda, takes it on his left, or he's on his left, cuts back onto his right, cross goal, back of the net, 4-4, 98th minute. You can question the league's quality. You can question the crowd numbers. You can question some of the players. You can question some of the managers. You can question the management and the operations of it. You can question the governance of the league. You can do all that all you want, because most of the criticism there could be valid, right? But what you can't question is the entertainment factor. You cannot question the entertainment factor about the A-League, and I'm sick and tired of hearing people say the A-League's not entertaining. I think it's had 4-0 draws throughout the entire season. It has on average 3 goals per game, which is higher than most of the European top 5 leagues. Yeah, the quality potentially isn't great, sure, but the quality is still good. Like the Socceroos in the World Cup show that the quality is good, and the entertainment factor is second to none. It's perfect. Like it's yeah. The entertainment factor second to none. It's very good. Like especially like that game just kind of made me smile. Like obviously Victory have no horse in the race. It just kind of made me smile about like this league's, as much as it's in a shit place, there's potential. There's potential, and it's still there. 6,000 rocking up to a Sunday afternoon game. Not a bad crowd, right? Not a bad crowd. Could be better, but not a bad crowd in the slightest. So yeah, you can question the quality all you want. You can't question the entertainment factor. And the final point, which brings a little bit of a damper, is obviously Nani leaving Melbourne Victory. It was announced on the broadcast of the Melbourne Victory versus Macarthur game that he will not be re-signing, or that he will not be returning to Melbourne Victory despite signing a 2-year deal. As much as this is a shame for the league and for Victory, because you want to, when you have a player as high profile as Nani, as good as what Nani was at times before he got injured, you want to see them stay for quite a while, and you want to see them help build the league. But I think now it's the wake up call that all A-League teams needed, which is fuck off all the 36-year-old injury prone former Premier League players. Let's get some good young Australian talent, a la Irakunda, the Toure brothers, Tilio, Arzani, these type of players who lit up the league when they were first introduced. Let's get these players and start blooding them through and give them opportunity. Because not only is the excitement factor the exact same as if a Nani or a Del Piero would be at the league for the most part, but it just helps the league and helps the football in Australia tenfold. It is far more beneficial to blood the youth than to just poach some 36-year-old injury-prone former Bundesliga player. Like, we need to be smart about it now, and we need to be, or like I don't necessarily disagree with banning or like restricting the visa signings, but just be shrewd about it. We saw what Layuni has done for Western Sydney. We've seen what Zavada has done for Wellington. These shrewd signings have, like Fornaroli was a shrewd signing when he got picked up, and look at how good he's turned out to be. You don't have to poach 36-year-old former retired Premier League players. Just poach good, cheap, reliable foreign players and blood the youth. That's the way forward. We're past the days of marquee signings. We are past the days of marquee signings. Like I said, we've seen what Zavada has done for Wellington. We've seen what Layuni has done for Western Sydney. These shrewd foreign pickups are the way forward. And not only is that the way forward, but also blooding the youth. The likes of Kual, Irakunda, the Toure brothers, Tilio, these type of players. Blood them through, get the academies going, and then that's the way forward. I mean, hell, Leighton Brooks scored the winner for Melbourne Victory on the weekend, right? He probably wouldn't be playing if Nani was injured. Just an example. So there you go. They're just my 2 cents on it. All right, let's finish things up with a preview before we wrap things up. Let's go preview of the week. Obviously, FA Cup final has been decided. Manchester derby for the FA Cup final, which is good. I enjoy that. All right. Brisbane versus Sydney tonight, so that would have already happened by the time this comes out. I hope it's a draw because I don't want Sydney to make it. If ideally Perth can leapfrog Sydney, who have Perth got in their final game. Perth have Western United in their final game. If Perth can leapfrog Sydney, so if Brisbane can beat Sydney, Sydney have got Newcastle away, yeah. So if just Sydney can lose their final 2 games and someone else frogs them, that'd be great. Anything else? Is there Champions League? No Champions League, of course. City versus Arsenal. City versus Arsenal is probably the biggest game. Yeah, it is. And then I'm going to go with... I gave my prediction earlier, but City versus Arsenal. Arsenal are going to win. Arsenal are going to go to the Etihad. Top of my neck. Yeah, fuck it. Arsenal are going to go to the Etihad and beat Manchester City 3-0. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to win the Premier League. neck out on the line. Fuck it. All right. Thank you all very much for watching another episode of the 2 Footed Tackle podcast. I've been your host, Ari Stamatakos. Thank you all very much for sticking around. Make sure you subscribe. Let's get to 400 subs. That would mean the world. That would mean the world if we could do that. Like, subscribe, notification bell, all the socials, 2 Footed Tackle podcast on Instagram and TikTok, 2FTPod on Twitter. All the socials. Yeah, that's all. They're all the socials. All the audio platforms: Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. 5-star review, like it, follow it, all that good stuff. And what else is that? Yeah, Linktree bio, Linktree link for God's sake, Linktree link in the bio of the Twitter and Instagram for all your 2 Footed Tackle podcast needs. See you guys next week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below for anything I've said in this podcast. Yeah, see you guys next week. I'll be 19 next time I come to you, so maybe we'll start to see some grey hair showing, who knows. But yeah, thank you very much for sticking around. See you guys next week. Speak soon and goodbye.